And we're live on all sides. Hello, everyone. I'm just finishing a tweet to remind the internet that we're about to be live here for this week's edition of the Magic Box. I am Tristan John Gregson here with Kyle Eck. It seems like this week is elementary, as though written for us. All we have to do is talk about new cards.
Yeah, these are the sweet weeks because not only is it easy for us, everyone's stoked.
Right.
Like, everyone's like, oh, like, you know, the Twitterverse is abuzz. Everyone is exciting. Everything, you know, every day. You know, I love spoiler season just because it's like little Christmas. 9 p.m. every weekday.
And
cards.
And this year, being the 20th year of Magic, 20th anniversary, it feels like we are of but all religions because every month is Christmas for us these days. I feel like we've just finished figuring out what the FTV 20 was.
Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Festivus, Bastille Day, just throwing them all in there.
Guy Fawkes Day, whatever you got, bring it. We'll celebrate it with new cards coming out of every orifice, it feels like.
And so, especially with PAX last weekend, we got a huge chunk of spoilers, much more than we would normally get even at this point in the year.
Now, how do you feel about that kind of like PAX influx of cards? Are you for the semi-blurry images for 48 hours, followed by a massive website update from Wizards of the Coast?
I feel like this semi-blurry images problem is really one that's not really a thing anymore. Just because, like, you know, it's 2013. Everyone is carrying, like, a double-digit megapixel camera in their pants at all times. So, like, you don't necessarily have... Like, in years past, you'd definitely be like, I went to this convention, look at this picture, I, like... It looks like a courtroom sketch. It's just, like, very, like, dark, and no one can really tell what's going on.
Dude, don't dog courtroom sketchers. Those guys are boss.
Yeah, but, you know, for immediate, you know, picture... Especially with Twitter now, too... Once one person takes a decent photo, it kind of just populates the entire internet so quickly.
Yeah, MTG Color Pie on Twitter, check that gentleman out. He was very kind to stop and take good photos this year, to the point where, you know, he was being metaed, and some of the WotC staff were then photoing the pictures, to the point where it was like, do you guys think this is cute? Or do you want to go ahead and take the extra 5 minutes and just post the damn things for us?
Right.
So we have to play this stupid game.
Well, I mean, if they just post the pictures, then there's no real reason to go to PAX, right?
The parties are supposedly off the hook. I mean, the Ravnica one last year...
I saw pictures of Barker Rosewater dancing with multiple Jaces of varying clothing and gender.
Man, if you did some substances that may or may not be illicit and then got in that drum circle,
whew,
that would be a wild ride. That's something you can't replicate through pictures online.
Although PAX is the same weekend as Burning Man. So
interesting.
Yeah, so that's kind of a divergent. Might be hard to acquire illicit substances.
Kenny, long time no see. All those high school nerds who are kind of on the fence and they're like, I don't want to go to Burning Man. Now, like, they have a legitimate excuse.
Like, I'm going to PAX instead.
I'm going to PAX.
I don't want to be eaten alive by acid in the desert. I'm going to go play video games.
I did not picture our feelings on Burning Man being interjected into this particular episode. But,
well, yeah, these things happen.
We have a lot to cover in very little time because our broadcast is so early today. We're trying to help out the East Coast a little bit. We're going
pre-draft.
Yeah, exactly.
As opposed to post-draft. Exactly. Normally we're post-draft. Today we're going pre-draft.
Yeah, Eck nowadays, his schedule, he'd be very sleepy we record late into the night.
I have already been awake for 10 hours, so...
Yes, we always, as Kenny, as we'll point out, again, I feel like we're just sucking him off for no good reason at this point. Part of the Kickstarter for...
No good reason.
for the Cube Vault. Good friend of ours. He has obviously been very busy and not been present in the chat. Actually kind of surprised Kenny is up this early. So thank you for joining us. And we'll quickly dive into Theros spoilers. But first, formalities are what they are. Let's talk about a pick one, pack one for today.
You make it sound like it's so much work. Like this isn't what everyone enjoys anyway. So, for our pick one, pack one this week, we have on the table Putrefy, Reflecting Pool, Koth of the Hammer, Elite Vanguard, Banefire, Turn and Burn, Packrat, Profane Command, Vamp Charm, Orm's Thunder, Grim Lavamancer, Palancron, Wall of Omens, Darksteel Ingot, Appetite for Brains.
This might be one of those times to push on Koth, actually.
Interesting.
That's my initial feeling about this pack.
I feel like if you were going to push on a mono red card, I would be pushing on Grim Lavamancer.
Huh.
I feel like Grim Lavamancer is a better card than mono red deck than Koth.
Interesting.
And more in demand.
Okay, well I was going to say if you take Grim Lavamancer, which is not wrong, you're just open. Because you could just have a Grim Lavamancer.
You just play a card
in whatever deck.
Sure.
You don't have to like take the Koth and be like, I'm going to try to play as many mountains as possible.
Is this also maybe a time to go to just take that pack rat.
That would have been my number 2, like, snap judgment call right behind the Koth of the Hammer.
I feel like pack rat is one of those cards that, especially if you haven't really played with it or against it, it seems kind of innocuous. Especially like, oh, well, it was really good in Ravnica Limited, but this is Cube. The standards are so much higher. But it is just about as hard to kill in this format, and
it comes back a lot more often too.
Mm-hmm.
So my thought, I agree with you. Pack rat is my number 2 snap call here. The thing about both these picks is they have a lot to back them up. You know, if you take that Koth, you're at bare minimum going to get like a Turn and Burn back, but you could very easily get back a Banefire, or if you're really lucky, the Grim Lavamancer. I've seen it happen. Additionally, if you take the pack rat, it's possible you could get that Profane Command Wheel.
It's way more likely you're going to get that Appetite.
Yeah, or just even like Reflecting Pool. Now, the reason I lean towards Koth versus pack rat, pick one, pack one here, is that I'd be taking a black card, and I'm not super into doing that right out of the gate.
I understand your trepidation. However, as I have mentioned on previous shows, I am currently on a mission.
It's true.
Mission from God.
I think you might be possessed at this point. I feel like you've like you made your point, and now you've like gone to the next level.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I'm really trying to make black a thing, and I'm making people respect it. And pack rat's a good way to do that.
Now, Kenny does have a good point in the chat here. If you take the Grim Lavamancer, which is a universally better card, if you get the Koth to come back, you're pretty open.
Yeah, I think I think also the same thing. What Kenny says too is that there are a ton of very good aggressive red 4-drops, and they're to some degree interchangeable. And Grim Lavamancer is not only an early creature, which is really important for red, but provides reach that is not creature-based, and like can slip under counter magic. Like
all true things.
It's one thing, you know, when you're on like a bunch of Chars and Flame Javelins, you know, you get Mana Leak, you get Counterspell, whatever. Grim Lavamancer kind of sneaks under, and they either have to spend removal on your 1/1 as opposed to like your 2/2s or 3/3s. But if they don't have any removal, he's going to just eat away at your opponent very quickly, and or clear the way for your other attackers. I feel like Koth is much more likely to come back than Grim Lavamancer in terms of a wheeling. Like if your aim is to get Lavamancer and Koth, I think you pick Lavamancer first, because Koth is more likely to come back.
It depends on if the other 7 people at the table or if any of them are interested in drafting mono red, because I think that a Koth seen any later in the process when someone's taking red cards is a much easier snap-up card. Not to say that people are likely to pass a Grim Lavamancer when drafting mono red. Maybe it's clearly the wrong pick. Maybe I'm being too narrow here, which I don't like to do in pick ones anyway. But
I don't necessarily think it's an issue of being narrow. I think you might just be over-evaluating the power level of Koth.
Or I'm looking for that 1 in 1,000th opportunity to activate the middle ability for my Banefire.
Yes, that is definitely a 1 in 1,000. I have
as we mentioned on the Planeswalker show, we are desperately looking for opportunities to see a player activate that Koth ability in the middle. But, we have yet to. I think Sam was the best one to do it. He said it happened in Nagoya for Block Constructed, where someone activated to cast their card.
Yeah, I mean that makes a little more sense.
So, end of the day, what are you taking?
I'm taking back rat.
All right, you're taking back rat. I'm taking the Koth.
Division continues.
Grim Lavamancer, easily defendable, probably the safest pick of all the things we said. So, no harm, no foul on taking that.
Now for our scenarios. This is a sweet one, actually. Just look at this. I really liked what was going on here.
All right.
So, for our 4 cards, we have Wormcoil Engine, Demonic Tutor, Pernicious Deed, Phyrexian Metamorph, and in the pack we are passed, Sarkin the Mad, Psychotog, Dryad Militant, Eureka, Ambitions cost Recoil, Paladin Invec, Giant Growth, Naturalize, Geralt's Messenger, Leonin Relic Warder.
So we've got maybe some bug control. Maybe we've just got...
Can I just say, if there was ever a time to see a Goblin Welder, this would be the time.
Well, I think there could be slightly better times. But yes, you have 2 very strong artifacts and the DT to get a piece of the puzzle.
You've got the DT, you've got Wormcoil, which is obviously bananas, but also like Metamorph, getting super tricky.
Yeah. Well, it's good that now we've looked at... we have black-green and a pseudo-blue mana symbol in our pool. I'm glad we talked up
a red one.
We talked up a red card, yeah. But back to reality, I'm actually kind of stumped in this situation. I am not sure what I'm going to take right offhand. Anything to add at the moment?
I mean, this is an interesting situation. So what I was thinking about when I was drawing this up, and stop me if this sounds just a little too crazy, but I'm never really sure about it, but I think this might be the time to pull the trigger on Eureka, and here's why.
Still listening.
You've already got one excellent card to drop into play, and a clone, which are excellent with Eurekas because you either get another of your best guy or their best guy on the spot. You also have Pernicious Deed, which means that if they drop a bunch of small stuff into play, you can play the Deed off Eureka and blow them out. You also have Demonic Tutor, which is awesome in a one-card combo deck like Eureka.
You might be selling me on it. I mean, there isn't... I think part of the reason I'm into Eureka is I'm not sold on anything else, and I don't think we're losing a lot by taking it here, but I think the best aspect of this argument is we have the Demonic Tutor, and Demonic Tutor, obviously, being an absolute premier card in Cube, just really opens the doors to all these great combo decks, and is one of the main reasons why Black suffers so much in Cube, because one of its greatest tools is snagged up by all these other combo decks. It also really helps that you not only have a colorless fatty that's very powerful, but you also happen to have like the perfect. I mean, Wormcoil Engine is such a beautiful card because it's colorless. It's a 6/6 for 6. It's a very efficient body. It also has lifelink and kind of an undying effect. It has everything you need when playing against all these aggro decks to get back in the game, and it allows me to feel a little more safer about maybe doing something a little girdly here by going DT to Eureka. That I have part of my A plan, or definitely a great B plan, in the form of Wormcoil Engine.
And Wormcoil Engine is also great with Eureka because on the off chance that your opponent puts something into play that's really, really good, Wormcoil Engine is a great way to deal with it. You know, whether it's, who knows, giant guys on the ground, Terastodon, or, you know, just gnarly huge stuff. You know, Wormcoil Engine is going to kill them dead. And just the fact that you already have DT, there's nothing really jumping out. I mean, beyond Eureka, you know, ambitions cost.
I was thinking like
recoil,
Psychotog, recoil. Like you take Psychotog and some kind of like bug control, maybe. I mean, like regardless, you could still draft a great Rexer shell of some variety or another.
I mean,
if you, well, I'm saying if you took Eureka,
yeah,
if that plan kind of like backfired.
I mean, I think like you take Eureka here with the thought of, well, if the next 2 or 3 picks don't have anything good for the Eureka deck, I could just abandon it, and I didn't really lose much.
Yeah, I definitely go into... I would go all the way into, like, middle of pack 2 before I gave up on that Eureka.
Okay.
You have a lot of opportunities to see fatties. I mean, sometimes they just aren't in the first round of packs.
Sure.
And I mean, for some reason, despite the shuffling and the card distribution, every time we draft, it always feels like you don't see anything.
The
like
pack 3 Eldrazi's all the time.
The well is very dry, and all of a sudden it's like Ulamog, Sundering Titan, and you're like Inkwell Leviathan, all like back to back to back. You're like, what happened?
I know. It's definitely how I felt a couple times with like various like Tinker decks and that Tooth and Nail deck, where it's like, oh, this is looking okay, and then it's like Terastodon, Inkwell Leviathan, blah blah blah, Blightsteel, like all in pack 3. It's like, oh jeez. So I like Eureka here.
You've I'm not gonna say you've convinced me because I had no idea before that. Well, maybe you did convince me. I just like the opportunity.
That would be the definition of the word convince.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next one.
Next one.
Oh.
What?
Oh, I see what happened here. I actually sent you one with only 3 cards. There's actually a 12-card pack. So the audio... No, I know it might be confusing if I didn't...
I just assumed...
I just missed one?
No, I just assumed that the space was in the wrong spot.
Okay. So for the visual audience, this will need a mile adjustment. For the audio audience, you will notice no problem whatsoever as we bring this out. Yeah, I it was actually funny. I was
See, I just moved it because it kind of made sense.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're rambling and run.
No.
So the pack, the actual pack, the pack of reality.
Well, okay. Let's start with what you actually have.
Mana Vault, Cultivate, Stagger Shock.
Just the 3 cards this time. Now you're going to get 12-card pack starting with
Thinned Horned Elves, Bloodstained Mire, Mindslaver, Pulse of the Fields, Rakdos Keyrune, Dimir Keyrune, Avenger of Zendikar, Jester's Cap, Nidhogg Cyclops, Blast from the Past, Yavimaya Elder, Natural Order?
Yeah.
And you can see why also that one got moved up.
So I assume then that you would take the Findhorn Elves out of this pack because in the visual representation, it's already in our card pool.
In the visual representation, the Findhorn Elf is the card we've drafted, which actually makes this pack very interesting because now I'm kind of eyeballing this natural order.
Okay.
So,
now, if you since you don't have the Findhorn Elves yet, all you've got is a Cultivated Mana Vault and a Stagger Shock.
Now we're much more open.
Yeah, where do you want to go from here?
So at that point, I think I would rather have possibly Avenger of Zendikar is an interesting one because that card's clearly very powerful. It doesn't play well with Mana Vault in the sense that like if you ramp that guy out, you get less of a bang.
Oh, I think that's being pretty greedy. Like
sure.
The turn 4 Avenger of Zendikar is still
just fine. Yeah. I mean, I like Avenger.
Now, my take, I mean, like initially when I saw this setup, I was pretty confused. That's why I kind of halted the draft at 3 picks because I didn't want to go any further. But now looking at it, it actually feels much more like a clear Avenger of Zendikar because I have a lot of opportunities to get something back in this pack that's going to be spectacular. In the name of Fetchland, for example,
not to mention
Findhorn Elves, Yavimay Elder, or Natural Order. All those cards would be bombed.
Not to mention the fact that Stagger Shock is excellent in the ramp deck just because, like, being able to, like, either kill a guy and make it so your opponent can't play anything for a turn, or kill 2 dudes. This buys you so much time.
Speed bumping here, it can be really important in the ramp decks, which is how we got to this scenario in the first place. I think we definitely want to play some rampy green style, and so this scenario is kind of that fork in the road where it's like, well, do I take Mana Elf? Do I take a card like Natural Order to kind of cheat the fatties? Do I take a consistent card like Yavimay Elder that may even allow me to go into 3 or 4 colors no problem since I already have a Cultivate? Do I just take the first kind of large creature I see in the form of Avenger of Zendikar?
And Avenger is also a very good one. Very good large guy.
Avenger is kind of swingy. There's a lot of times where...
Most large guys are.
Well, yeah, Avenger to me is very swingy because it's either one of those cards where it comes down as a 5/5, makes a bunch of 0-1s, and is dead. So you end up with, like, you trade your opponent's removal spell for a bunch of 0-1s. Or it comes down and just completely destroys.
I mean, like, how often, though, are you, like, Turbo Avengering without a land drop? I mean, he should be making 1/2s every time.
I mean, if I can get into that Mana Vault play where I just curve him out into Mana Vault and get him turn 3 or 4, I'll take it. I mean, yeah, okay, maybe not.
That's a context-sensitive guy.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in game 2 or 3 against the black-white all-spot removal deck, then you might want to hold off.
Pump the brakes.
Yeah, until you can get that. Yeah, I mean, but again, if your opponent has all that removal, they can just do it with the tokens trigger on the stack.
Yeah.
So it's not a foolproof plan either way.
Sure. But I mean, I don't know. Avenger just generally, like, oftentimes will win the game by itself. Many other times will just be an enormous hassle, and the amount of time your opponent has to expend dealing with it will win you the game.
Yeah, I mean, the hope and the goal is that worst case scenario, if they have A, an answer for it, and B, pressure to apply, it is a very large roadblock / number of falls.
You block for a long time.
Yeah, you can buy back all the time and resources you've lost kind of powering it out. So ultimately, is that a double Avenger pick here?
I think it's a double Avenger pick. I think that Avenger there is a sweet one. I do like Avenger.
Yeah, and I'll be very interested to see what comes back. So, there you have it. There's some picks for this week 1, but
now that all that crap is out of the way,
just standard accounting work is out of the way, we'll move on to the very exciting...
what everybody wants.
5 days of Theros spoilers that we have not talked about, and my oh my.
The best part about, especially like the pack spoilers and like the big event spoilers like this is like, they're all the rares and the mythics, and they're like the craziest cards in so many cases.
It's even greater than during regular spoiler season, where Wizards has kind of fallen into this pattern where they show us kind of like the splashy effects first, then like a Planeswalker, then some like maybe build around me rares,
and then like the power uncommon.
Yeah, like the best limited card that they think will be impactful. And then they just kind of crap out the rest of the set.
Yeah.
So all the talking points are up front, and PAX goes even further with that since you've got an entire party, and it's one of these conventions that goes on what feels like forever. It's still
4 days.
It just ended. It feels like it's still going on. The fact that it moves into a Monday is very confusing.
Yeah, well, that's the holiday.
So since we've been gone, we've seen Magma Jet has been spoiled, and it's interesting because the artwork isn't actually a Mythic spoiler yet, but the artwork has made its rounds on the internet. Now, I think there'd be a reoccurring theme you're going to see with a lot of Theros spoilers is it's all going to be very convenient timing that Snapcaster Mage and Delver of Secrets have left standard.
Sure.
A lot of cards were pushed back in
they're just like, this is probably a little too good.
I mean,
but now it's like,
there's the very famous Flame Slash had to come out of M13, and additionally, an unnamed card turned into Index.
Oh,
because Snapcaster Mage and Delver of Secrets were still in standard, and from the move from Scar's block to with Innistrad, from Innistrad to the next block forward, they really tried to move away from...
Scry playing with Miracle also would have been
less than exciting.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we get to bring back... What this really says is there's a lot of room for spells.
Well, and I think that, we'll see some of a return to that, especially with, Heroic being the kind of mechanic it is. You need to make spells that people are going to want to cast, especially ones that target creatures that they got to be really making pump spells interesting and stuff like that. I mean, clearly there's going to be a lot of auras, and enchantments, but they gotta make Heroic. If they want that to be a mechanic, they have to push it. So
Kenny is getting ahead of us as always. There are a lot of cards to talk about, even though many of them may seem mediocre or maybe difficult to evaluate for Cube. So moving,
I am reminded also of Innistrad. My initial reaction to Innistrad was like partially like, oh, these cards are cool, but also partially like, oh, the flavor, and like freaking out over how sweet some of them were. And I'm kind of getting that again with this set. Being another top-down design, there is a lot of awesome flavory goodness in this set that I'm excited
at the end
about.
of the day, I mean, this set will probably play better in its own world than in a Cube world. I think Innistrad definitely did that. I mean, you can only hope to have a limited environment as strong as Innistrad. I mean, I think that is a lightning that's going to be hard to strike twice. But we're here to talk about Cube. Moving up into the first series, we have a brand new False Demise.
So, Gift of Immortality, it's cute. Not very good.
If those aren't familiar with False Demise, or Fool's Demise from Time Spiral Block, we're talking about another enchantment aura. It's a rare at a white and 2 colors. When a enchanted creature dies, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control, then returned Gift of the Immortals to the battlefield, attached with the beginning of the next end step. So,
Plays very awkwardly with Ball Lightning.
I guess. I think very humorously with Ball Lightning.
In, out, in, out, in, out.
That could be fun.
Reverent Hunter.
It's a 1/1 for 3 that has Devotion for green when it enters the battlefield for +1/+1 counters.
Yes. So my thing about Devotion. So first of all, this card is damaged a lot by the fact that he's not an elf. Like if this was an elf, we could maybe have a talk. But he's not an elf, so we're not having a talk.
Definitely when we're regarding Cube and green in Cube and creatures, being an elf, huge. Being a human, detriment.
Yeah. Being a human, not sick. I think that regarding Devotion in general, I think that green is probably going to be the color that's best at it, just because of mana elves.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that. I was thinking black's heavy color commitment.
Black and red both having a lot of like double and are good.
I think talking the grandest scheme of Devotion,
green just dumps like so many dudes. Whereas like white puts a lot of tokens into play, and that's one thing.
It would make me hope that the green Devotion spells are better.
Yes.
Just add them like random, like this particular card.
I guarantee you there's like 2 mana gain life equal to your Devotion green.
Wow, guarantee.
It's going to be close.
Is it going to be like X2? Wouldn't it be like X2 your...
Maybe. I'm also expecting a Scred for Devotion to red.
Ooh, I like that. That is not out of the realm of possibility at all. Does it have to be to creatures like Scred, or could it be to players as well?
Not creatures. Players would be really good.
Well, I mean, it depends. Is it a single red for instant speed?
Yeah.
All right. That might
would be
actually be a card, yeah.
Anyway, so moving on from that guy, he, meh, not great.
2 misses. We're talking about mechanics for the most
Bow
part.
of Nylea. This one actually is kind of... It gets... I think it's worth talking about just because of how versatile it is.
And right out of the bat, the gods are all indestructible.
Yes.
Despite having their various...
abilities.
Kind of like, again, being able to be hit by enchantment removal and artifact removal for these, you'd kind of wish they were indestructible as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
Especially because they're enchantment artifacts, so they're extra destructible.
Yeah. Black's still off crying in a corner, being like, I can't do anything about
Bolin
this.
made a great comment about, like, as soon as you thought sees someone in this format, Tarmogoyf is like an 8/9. All these enchantment artifact creature lands, like, flying all over the place. So Bo, +1/+1 counter, or 2 damage to a flyer, or gain 3 life, or put 4 cards back. Is that combination of things plus giving all your attackers death touch? Is that what we're talking about, or does this card still, despite its versatility, not do enough?
I'm trying to think where one of those abilities, like the hottest portion of that ability tree for Cube, is the bottom being able to like recycle. Is it only your deck?
Yes.
Oh, you can't even hit your opponents if they're trying to reanimate?
No.
I think this one kind of hits all these spots around the target board, but none of them hit on the target board.
it hits a lot of spots.
Just because you hit like a bunch of things outside the range of cubable,
like what's better, 1A or like 7 Bs?
But these aren't even Bs. These are all like C minuses.
C pluses.
Like 2 damage to a flyer.
Yeah.
At the cost of 5 invested mana.
I'm not saying
Dragon Blood for 5.
That's actually a decent deal.
Well, on your persist guy, maybe gain Clearwater Goblet with an upkeep of 3, and again being able to hit by enchantment and artifact. I mean, not that we don't have a lot of narrow enchantment only destruction in the cube.
We do have a fair amount of artifact only destruction. All right,
so end of the day, not into the bow.
Nope.
Not into the bow.
No, I can't see that. Haha.
Yes, they can.
Okay.
Oh, it's covered by that thing. Nice.
Metamai the Ageless, 4 white-blue for a 4/4 flying Sphinx. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, time walk, and it cannot attack during extra turns. I feel like the wording is going to be... this is a mock-up. I feel like there is going to be a significantly more convoluted wording.
Okay.
Because, like, I was having this conversation with Vin, let's say, can't attack during extra turns. What about, like, when the clock ends?
Exactly.
You're in extra turns then, what now? Like, they're going to have to come up... I get the idea, but they have to come up with a better way of saying that. And then, like, if you blink it, or, like, somehow have 2...
Is it the same? Well, like, any Sphinx. Well, it's legendary for starters. So
well, like, Sakashima's...
this card's like a nightmare.
Yeah.
So this is a card that's like the least... To me, it's like the least confirmed, because I've seen it as a 3/4, I've seen it as a 4/3.
Well, what happened...
Cost 5 mana.
What happened was a guy on Salvation spoiled this card with no proof, and they're like, yeah, whatever, buddy. And then they revealed this character name and art, like, 2 days later on the Mothership. And they're like, oh, okay, he knows what he's talking about. So... But the concept, if it's a 3/4, if it's a 4/4, whatever, the concept is still the same. The time walk on attack, can't attack during extra turns, however that ends up being worded. Still, cool, but not really a thing.
So then we bring it to Cube, and it's like... It's already Azorius, and then it doesn't do anything. There's a battlefield, it costs 6 mana. I don't picture us playing this card.
No. The end.
I'm just thinking of like if you were to sneak attack this, or if you were to, you kind of have to give it haste for it to be like a good cheating. I feel like it's like having a vanilla 4/4. I mean, it does have flying, I guess, but like, is this a good reanimation target ever? I don't know.
Yeah. All right, moving on.
The jury's still out, but moving towards the side of now.
Moving into the big pile of news spoilers. Akron Crusader. 1/1 for a single red. Already did fine.
Meh.
Heroic. Whenever you cast a spell that targets Akron Crusader, put a 1/1 red soldier creature token with haste onto the battlefield. Now that is a very exciting heroic trigger.
Thank God they have haste, or Young Pyromancer would be laughing.
But the problem, you just combine them together. Now you're making all kinds of tokens. The problem with Akron Crusader and heroic in general is that what in God's name are you targeting this guy with in Cube? And especially in red, like you're like looking at lightning bolts. You're like,
You see, the thing I like about Cube implications for heroic is that I'm already trying to like hold on to cards like Giant Growth and be like, look, they still do something.
Right now, they're just giving you an argument.
So yeah, the bar is going to have to be very high on heroic for us to consider adding any of these cards to our cube. I mean, if we already talked about the Boros one from last week, where it was not happening. So this guy is still below that bar.
I mean, I think the best things would be stuff like Madcap skills. Yeah, obviously, like, this is not going to cut the mustard in cube. But I think like that's where you're going to see this guy is like something like that.
Maybe I don't.
I don't
currently see it, but whatever.
Yeah. Cavern Lampad, 3 and a black for a 2/2 intimidate, with Bestow for 5 and a black.
So we're still getting a good idea of what Bestow costs are going to be for even the good ones. This one is obviously not a cube card, but it gives us great insight into what all these Bestow cards are going to cost. So
can I just say also that this limited format looks like it's going to be very slow. Between Bestow and Monstrosity, it seems like.
You just got off of talking about that Crusader right there, though. Maybe it's best case scenario, we're coming into the next Rise of the Eldrazi. We're coming into the next area that is so diverse that you can have aggro decks, you can have mid-range decks, you can have combo decks, you can have control decks. I don't think I know enough, but I definitely see what you're saying. It could end up being
equipment or not. Oh, Bombo. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I was gonna say. Thoughtseize, Pelucanos with the actual art.
We are familiar. So we can stop. Pelucanos, do you like the dual deck art better, or do you like the official art better?
I like the dual deck art better. This one looks like an angry chicken.
Yeah, it's really weird.
He looks like fat.
99 times out of 100, I'm like original printing.
Yeah,
I want that artwork in my
dual
cube.
decks one looked like very classical, like Hydra monster, and this one looks like this. Like I don't know if it's like the quote unquote camera angle or what, but he just looks out of shape and like not very intimidating.
I think part of it has to do with scale. So in this picture, I don't know if he's the size of my shoe, or if he's the size.
This could be like a dog,
yeah,
or
I don't know
like
if he's the size of a city.
Yeah,
like I'm not missing something, am I? I'm like getting close here and see like a
are they supposed to be like little tiny
figure or something? Again,
yeah.
Usually on all this God stuff, they do a very good job.
Is that that little black dot supposed to be a guy?
Pelucanos, the funky chicken. Either way, surprisingly enough, we might end up adding the dual deck one to the cube, which would be very, very, very rare. I don't know if we even have any of that actually.
Very rare.
But either way, Pelucanos,
outside of the obvious, like there are no foil printings of this.
I don't even know if that's a thing. Anyway,
Thoughtseize,
still rare.
Great for everybody.
Keeping it down.
Yeah.
Wished it was uncommon.
I haven't looked at the MTG stocks price thing in a while, but I have to imagine it's just
buy prices are down across the board.
Elspeth's Son's Champion, however, this is an interesting one. Now we can finally talk about a card.
The big,
big ol' Elspeth.
There seems to be a lot of contention on the internet. I seem to be kind of rabble-rousing the "this is not a good card" camp.
Yeah,
and there are a lot of people out there that have taken up the charge of taking the counterpoint and being like, no, protect yourself, very easy, only go do standard, very good.
Mana is my counter argument to that. I am not thrilled with this card. I mean, I am not surprised that it costs 6 necessarily. We already have a 4 and a 5 Elspeth. I didn't think they were going to go 3.
Yeah, I do like how the new area that is being traversed is casting costs. It's not necessarily abilities. It's like, make soldiers? Yeah, we know Elspeth does that. Okay, reprisal some guys. Like, okay, that stuff White does all the time. Now it's on happens to be on Planeswalker.
And it's very similar to medium Elspeth's ultimate as like blow the board up to some degree.
Kind of.
Obviously, this can be a little more one-sided.
It's a little bit more of a Garrick Wildspeaker style finisher than a other kind of thing. And maybe even the chat's kind of split on this one. I personally think that it's going to take a lot of evaluation of what happens at 6 mana in Cube and what happens with White at 6 mana to really kind of figure out, to suss out the situation on this card.
This card does not feel like a auto-include slam dunk to me. It could very well be the case that it's better than the 5 mana Elspeth, but the difference between 5 and 6 is notable, and what you actually get out of the two is not worlds different.
And it's really interesting. I mean, I think in Cube, the middle ability is actually a lot more impactful than a lot of the other formats that are going around right now. I mean, we're still talking about a world where the good aggressive decks right now are all about Boros Reckoners and Flinthoof Boars. And
right. That 4 or greater is for, like, Reanimator decks and, you know, the big bomby stuff rather than being aggressive. Like,
and in Cube, even that, I mean, I'm trying to think of times where that middle ability is really wrecking house.
It's really just Reanimator and Ramp and stuff like that, which just are not common decks.
I mean, at least it's a destroy all. It's not a destroy target. I mean, you can get rid of things like Chroma, Inkwell Leviathan,
sure,
hard targets. Again, I just at 6 mana we have to be a lot more critical, and I think that the kind of the trap that a lot of people fall into when evaluating cards is they don't look at casting costs based on what you're going to be doing during the course of a game to really get this kind of effect. I mean, the red aggro decks, and here's a reason like Elspeth Tyrell is so good. At 5 mana, not only are you bringing down blockers sooner against aggro red, but you also may have the opportunity to gain critical life points and make your opponent have to make decisions about attacking your face or getting that Elspeth off the board that are going to gain you a lot of life.
Yeah.
As where this card is going to be a lot less impactful.
I think people see +1 put 3 guys into play and assume that this is an excellent stopgap. The difference between 5 and 6 mana, especially in a format that has very, very playable land destruction, is very notable.
Yeah, true.
Especially the aggressive decks, like you're gonna get strip mined, you're gonna get wastelanded. These are things that happen in Cube, and trying to get to 6 mana against some decks is a serious challenge. So the mana is very relevant, I think. Is a thing that is not getting discussed enough.
This card could end up being a role player in some variety if we could find multiple decks they could work in. I mean, obviously there are control shells that like this effect, but it all hinges on that mana cost.
Agreed.
And I think that's what people are so quick to discuss.
No one is debating that her +1 is better than Elspeth Tyrell's -2. Like, that's not the conversation. The conversation is that 5 mana versus 6 mana is a serious distinction, and people are really undercutting how big of a deal that is.
Agreed.
Nykthos, Shrine to Nyx.
Everybody gets a Cabal of Coffers.
You get a Cabal of Coffers, and you get a Cabal of Coffers, and you get a Cabal of Coffers. This card is really cool because I feel like they don't print stuff like this anymore.
Yeah, making a ton of mana on one card is not the Wizards of the Coast way, especially on a land.
For those of you unfamiliar with the Cabal Coffers math, you're going to need 4, count them, 4 mana symbols. Devotions. Your devotionality is going to need to be 4 before this produces more than 1 mana.
Okay, I have to cut in real fast. Just so the chat is aware, and the viewers at home are aware, we don't think this card is good. It's not making the cube or anything like that.
It's cool.
It's cool, and EDH players are going to nut all over this card because...
I think this card will actually see concerted play.
Whoa.
My prediction is as a one-of in combo elves.
Oh, alright.
That seems very easy.
So this is Gaia's Cradle number 5.
Or Gaia's Cradle number 1 if you're in Modern.
Oh, okay. It's harder to... Is it harder? It's got to be harder to get in Modern.
Yeah, sure.
How do you tutor for that bad boy in Modern?
I don't know. Whatever, they'll figure it out.
Once you're already winning, this is your way to do it.
That seems like a very obvious home for that card.
So maybe combo cubes will want this card?
I mean, if you already have some kind of crazy Gaia's Cradle combo deck in your cube, then maybe
it's combo decks can do whatever they want. They're combo. Combo cubes can do whatever they want. They're already combo cubes as they are.
It's certainly a very powerful card. And it's a card that is not like what they print anymore. Voyage's End.
Unsummon plus Scry 1 at the inflated cost of 2 mana.
Oh, thanks. Cool. Yeah, again, I like to... Anytime you staple Scry on anything, I'm like, maybe.
I think this will be an absolutely spectacular card for Theros Limited when we have all these heroic triggers, then we're going to do cool stuff, as well as all of the energy someone puts into monstrositying someone, and they get set back so far by this card. So I think that as far as Theros Limited goes, that guy is a home run.
Oh yeah,
it's almost undercosted.
I
feel like it's that strong in this format. But as far as where we live goes, I think we would be more likely playing Consuming Vortex before we play this card. And if you have to know you have to look that one up. It doesn't even matter.
Rageblood Shaman. A.K.A. the reason didgeridoo quintupled in price.
Oh, there's another Minotaur Lord coming.
I know.
There's a 2-color one.
Yeah.
I think what's important to say is, remember how Hurlu Minotaur used to be the face of Magic? Well, of course you don't. That's not the point. But look at Hurlu Minotaur's casting cost and power and toughness, and then look at this guy and cry about what you used to play 18, 19 years ago when you were playing Magic.
Yeah. So
Hurlu Minotaur was even in limited,
like a bomb.
five. No.
just crushing house.
All right, in revised limited, yes. 2/3s were huge.
Oh, that's what we're not talking about.
Oh, I was talking about like 7th, 8th edition.
Oh, yeah.
Either way,
very silly.
Our conversation ends at that point. It's not
Commune with the gods.
Yeah.
Oh, with the druids, right?
Oh yeah. So commune with the gods. When I initially read this card, right out of the gate, I didn't even see the creature part. I just thought it was look at the top 5, put enchantment in your hand, put the rest in your graveyard, and immediately I was like, I want it.
Putting it like mulching as opposed to on the bottom is sweet.
Is absolutely huge for cube.
I mean, this I don't think is going to make the cut.
Oh, it's coming in the cube.
Oh, that.
Oh, it's going in.
Wow. Okay.
Oh my gosh. I mean, not only do I think that combo-centric enchantment decks to the tune of
Remember
Moat, Abyss, Oath of Druids, Oath of Ghouls, like all want
This one feels a little deep to me. Remember that conversation we had about the Beautiful Mind thing with some of your decisions lately?
But it's also like it's got commune with nature staple to it, and it goes to the graveyard. These things are hot to cha-cha.
I do like the fact that they go in the graveyard.
Yeah.
No lie. I do like that. It seems a little dirty, but we'll see. I do, however, also like Read the Bones.
All right. Now, when I looked at this card, I looked at it very similarly to what was the red-black card we are gonna put in from Dragon's Maze that you like vetoed? The draw 2, lose 2, and then the target player takes X. The red-black split card.
Oh, Toil and Trouble?
Yeah. So when I saw this card, I was like, oh, Eck only wants part of the equation. I mean, he could be more versatile with Toil and Trouble, but instead that Scry 2 is really pushing this thing over the top here.
So here's the thing. There's a couple differences. One, Toil and Trouble would be living in the multicolor section, which demand for is a lot higher.
All right.
Secondly, we're currently playing Ancient Craving and Ambition's Cost.
All right.
Now, it seems like it's... Would you agree that Scry 2 is approximately equivalent to Draw a Card? Like, that seems to be kind of like the universal metric people are willing to ascribe to it?
Maybe.
Okay. Because that's like the number I see quoted a lot in like pro articles and things like that. But even if you take that off, even if you say it's close, right? This is fairly close to drawing 3 cards, which is like what Ambition's Cost or Ancient Craving does, and it does it for a mana less and a life less. And the fact that you can get 4 deep is huge. I think this card is a no-brainer. We're already playing 2 4-mana sorcery speed black draw spells.
Well, the audience at home doesn't know that we've already mocked up a pre-Theros change list that may involve cutting one of those cards. But now we have to evaluate more things. Yes, to reference the chat, in talking about paying life to draw cards in the modern cube format, it's about not going as deep. It used to be in...
Subscribed for 8 was like a common thing.
But like in the Dragon Cube days, yes, that's what we're referring to. Like you had time, it was all about just amassing more resources. In current Cube, you have to be faster, stronger, quicker, more versatile. And Read the Runes is a slow move in that direction where it's kind of like, all right, we brought it down to mana. We're all about card selection. We're about finding the card that wins the game. We're not about just amassing more cards.
It's kind of a good balance between Ancient Craving and Night's Whisper, or Sign in Blood, depending on your personal flavor. Where it's you can go deep and you can get the card selection, which is important, but it's also fast enough where those cards are then relevant. So I think Read the Bones is a slam dunk.
I mean, we've talked at great length about cards like Sign in Blood, Night's Whisper. You know, over the winter when we went up to 2 Ambition's Cost style Magic cards. It was with the goal of bringing back like more black control and playing the longer game. And now
it just didn't work.
Now we got to diversify. You're the guy who's drafting black-white control. What are you talking about?
I agree, and I don't want Ambition's Cost.
Right. And I feel like we've addressed that. This adds a new element or brings a new piece, a conversation piece to the table, which I'm excited about. I mean, I don't think Read the Runes is a guaranteed in or a guaranteed out. I think that more work has to be done, looking at the curve where things fit in. But it's definitely a contender at this point.
Read the Runes. That's a sweet card.
Oh, I meant Read the Bones. What I meant. Read the Runes is a sweet card.
Yeah. Not seen in a long time.
If it wasn't blue, if that card was white, I know it'd be boss.
It'd be green. Why not? Underworld Cerberus.
Green actually makes more sense.
This one was a little weird because I was like, oh, cool, 3-headed demon dog, and then I was like, cards in graveyards can't be the targets. Oh, because it protects the underworld. Okay, that makes sense. And then when it dies, all the creatures just get to run free. Like, okay, I mean, like,
Underworld Cerberus is a full-bodied flavor. I think that it is a rich texture. I love.
It definitely was one of those that like the flavor is not obvious on, but they're like, oh, okay.
Because there's so much flavor.
There's so, like the levels. So
Yeah.
I think it's cool, but I mean, not very good.
Interesting. See, I think that this could be a build around me kind of card.
No, it can't. Moving on.
I want to take another. Just give me another 30 seconds of soliloquy on this bad boy.
You're on the clock.
We've got the 6/6 for 5. We've got the Phyrexian Colossus style attack. So you've already got a more power and toughness guy for less mana, who doesn't really have a drawback unless you've just played the game poorly and filled your opponent's graveyard while yours is empty. It makes him a big target. He turns off some opposing reanimation strategies, if that's at all possible. And he also has this built-in living death mentality that you could also work into your own game. All of a sudden you have more reasons to pick up those Nile Spell Bombs, those Withered Wretches, those... now, not so much Relic of Progenitus, but a little bit of Relic of Progenitus.
Well, Withered Wretch doesn't work.
Oh,
Grave
gosh.
Robber doesn't work.
Oh, gosh. I forgot all about that.
In fact, Relic of Progenitus does work.
Okay. Well, obviously you're setting up for this guy.
Here's my thing about this. You're having a card whose one of his most interesting attributes is blocking reanimation in the color that wants to reanimate.
Well,
the color with all the reanimation spells is present in this card.
I think that it does so much in addition to attacking that I mean...
He's like the 15th black-red card I would think about.
So you'd play Toil and Trouble first?
That's like in the top 20. The list is very deep for black-red. I don't know if you noticed.
It's just... what I will say is it's hard to control.
Yes.
And that's why I feel your argument is very valid. If it was one-sided...
Then that would be very different.
It was like flip a coin. It wouldn't work for multiple opponents. But if it was like randomly one player dumped their graveyard into the battlefield, would that have done it for you? No, you don't like that either?
If it just returned yours and not theirs, then...
That would be ridiculous.
It'd be okay. So going from one full-bodied flavor to another full-bodied flavor, Rescue from the Underworld. Instant, 4 to black, additional cost, sack a guy. Choose a creature in your graveyard. At the next upkeep, at your next upkeep, you get the card that you targeted and the guy you sacrificed back into play. Which, again, full flavor. Guy going into hell, bringing a buddy back out after a delay.
This is the
super cool.
This is the rich. This is your
the rich full body flavor. Also continues. That card's cute, but 5 mana is just too much. Would be cool if it cost a little less.
I might still want Miraculous Recovery over this card just because of its simplicity. I do like the instant speed ability of it, but it is too overcosted. Had too much of a buy-in initially.
It's great for storyline magic.
Yeah, I mean, I want to have one in the on-deck binder just in case. Just in case, but I don't think it's ever going to happen.
Chain of the Rocks, however, also very flavorful.
And narrow.
But very powerful.
I think Michael Hetrick's comments on Twitter when he first saw it were my favorites. Where it's like, dude, you don't have to be Boros, you can just board it in against the red decks.
Oh, wait.
Yeah. If it targeted any mountain, this card might make the cube.
I think it's very much worth discussing, even as it stands.
Okay.
Like this is clearly a white-red card. However, in cube, it's fairly easy to get a mountain if you want a mountain. Like you've got.
Yes, they are unlimited in the land station.
But there's also Plateau and Sacred Foundry. There's other the mana fixing that we have available to us enables you finding a mountain if you want one. Arid Mesa. And the effect is just undeniably powerful. I mean, it is Swords Plowshares.
Right.
And it also makes land destruction a more interesting thing for your opponent, which I'm surprised you're not all about. Like, all of a sudden, now you guys like, oh, I'm Molten Rain.
See, that's the interesting thing, is if it enchanted any mountain, now you have this dichotomy here where it's like...
So you just want your opponent to blow up their own lands?
Yeah,
the guy?
yeah.
Okay, so you're just a little too sadistic from what I'm talking about. I think that this card is very good, and I think that it'll be a hard card to slot in terms of like where does this count towards, but
I mean, I would cut the card Exile from the cube maybe for this card.
I'm done. Book
Interesting.
it.
You just hate the card Exile.
No, I just think this card is very, very, very good.
Wow. Did Lewis get on the show this week and I didn't even notice?
It's not that hard to get a mountain.
All right. I mean, again, we play in a very large, multicolor base cube environment. This card, to me, I'm willing to give it a shot. Let me put it that way. I'm not sold on this card, but it can go on probation. I'm fine with that.
Nylea, God of the Hunt.
Also, we play Exile mostly because of the video.
Yeah, exile that action?
Yeah, I kind of want to play it in the channel now, but we don't want to waste time searching for it. If we had it queued up on macro, like we could rickroll you, but we can't set this up properly. Anyway, I don't want to steamroll the green god here. I think this is the second best god spoiled of the 4 we've seen so far.
You know what makes me sad? The fact that we haven't seen the black one, and it's probably going to be the shittiest. By
No. You got see. This is one of those times where you got to hold out hope. You got to be like they're keeping that one because that's going to be the biggity bad.
It's going to cost like 7 and do something stupid, and it's going to be like
it's going to have like a little sweet like shielded action attached to it, and like give all your guys death touch.
Instead of giving your guys death touch or whatever, it should just be like like Knight of Souls Betrayal, and then do other sweet shit.
Interesting.
Well, or like Cursed.
Look, we are trampling all over Nylea here. She came out with a big bow. She's got Primal Rage attached to her for 4 mana, which is not irrelevant in Cube. I think that Trample can be very underrated and is...
There's very little overrunning kind of stuff in Cube.
And again, equipment, we're talking like swords, GTAs, a lot of things here that would love to get some trample action going on. So
for sure,
as a 4 mana enchantment that's like an overpriced narcissism attached to Primal Rage. Again, I apologize for the new players. Just have Gatherer open while the show is going.
Yeah,
it'll really help you with these analogies.
Now, out of curiosity, we haven't really talked about, because the last time we really talked about a changelog, the only god was the blue god, and we weren't really talking about that. How do you how would you categorize these in terms of where they fit in Cube? Do you count them as spells? Do you count them as creatures?
Gosh, I really want to count them as spells.
Wherever is convenient.
Maybe it could be like the hybrids where we just kind of jam them in where we can, assuming that we want to play any of them. I mean, I've already mentioned this week that none of them are shoe-ins. None of it's like that guy definitely. This one, I could do some number crunching. I mean, with Devotion in general, you're talking about committing a bunch of permanents to the board, and I don't like doing that. That's not my flavor. And the other thing is, a lot of times in Cube, the way you're putting a lot of permanents on the board is often with tokens.
Yeah, which
do nothing.
Non-bow.
Yeah.
Speaking of tokens, the next card on the list I think is excellent. And that is the Hammer of Perforos.
Yeah, I feel like we shit all over Nylea, but maybe that just means we're going to come back to her on a further episode.
One red. Haste for all your guys. Already sweet.
So you've got some Fervor going on at almost the same casting cost as Fervor.
2 and a red, tap it, sack a land. Put a 3/3... No, hold on. Colorless Golem, enchantment, artifact, creature, token onto the battlefield. That is a lot of
That is a mouthful.
qualifiers.
That is going to require some actual tokens. Remember what all those things do.
That being said, it makes 3/3 hastes.
So at one point in time in a lot of cubes, people would play Wand of the Elements. If you're familiar with that card, you could sack islands to make 2/2 flyers. You could sack mountains to make 3/3s. This is sacrifice any land. It's a 3 mana, and you also have a Fervor attached. All of these things I like. I could be sold on this card.
I think that the reach here is excellent.
What kind of deck wants this, though?
Mono red.
Mono red wants to spend all this time and mana to eventually make some 3/3s?
Late game.
Or it's like good enough. I mean, like
it affects the game in the middle of the game.
It kind of reminds me of when we rotisserie drafted and Michael Boland like top 3 picked a Lightning Greaves for mono red deck, and then drafted like a mono haste creatures deck. And so it didn't really do anything. Like I look at this card.
Clearly, the haste like loses a lot when your curve is just like Ash Zealot into whoever.
At this point in time, how many creatures in the mono red deck don't have haste?
Right, I understand that. However,
it is kind of like Welder fodder.
Yes.
Yeah, because there's Welder. You play this, then you play Welder. Welder has haste. Now, if you're saucy, you have enough mana to activate and make another artifact token, sack that, do something saucy. You also have some protection for your hammer. Assuming that Welder doesn't die, I still feel like we need Lightning Greaves for that Welder. But I'm just saying.
I think that it's another way for the red deck to get late game reach, which I'm all about.
Maybe the problem is like it has like suspend a billion because you're not doing anything. I mean like. And the other part about this card is the big red decks don't want it.
It gives Flame Tongue Kabu haste, which is a pretty big game.
Yeah, so does Fires of Yavimaya.
again, red-green versus mono-red.
This one will end up bringing this to committee.
Yeah,
and I
feel like this will come to a vote at the very least. Some of these other cards are not coming to votes.
And that one I don't think is going to pass mustard, but I see what you're getting at.
I like this guy. Daxos of Melitus.
Okay, so for a blue, a white, and a colorless, you get a 2/2 legendary human soldier who cannot be blocked by creatures with power greater than 3. So
3 or greater.
Oh, sorry. Oh, 3 or greater, not greater than 3. Okay. So, initially, I saw this before we get to the sauce of the ability. I looked at it and I was like, oh, it's just Augury Adept. I'm not interested in this card. Adding that first line of text that says he can't be blocked by the big men, that goes a long way. Lastly, we have, whenever Daxos of Melitus deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of that player's library. You already gain life yields, converted mana cost, very Augury Adept style.
Right.
And then until end of turn, you may cast that card, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast that particular spell.
So no matter what you reveal, if you have enough raw mana, you can cast it. And that's sweet. I think that's a hell of a trigger. This is also a guy who holds equipment, at nobody's business. Being able to just, if you put a sword on this guy,
come on.
But what are they going to do?
Blue-white is an interesting one to evaluate. I think that we could make the blue-white section of the cube all Revelark's buddies.
Right.
Which this guy would be a big fan of.
Blue-white could very easily just be a tempo deck. And, basically nothing else.
Yeah, and I kind of like him there. It's the only thing that's awkward about this card is, I guess we're playing blue-white tap-out. We're playing, blue-white tempo. We want the cards out of our opponent's deck. Gaining life is somehow relevant. Having a 2/2 pseudo-unblockable guy does anything for you. He very similar to the...
he does die to absolutely everything that's not a guy.
Similar to cards we've already talked about on this show, he's hitting a lot of spots outside the target.
Yeah.
He's just not really hitting anything in the target.
Cool. Awkward color combination. If this guy, I think, was mono white or mono blue, I think it would be a very different conversation.
Yeah, this card was mono white. I think he'd have his best shot.
Just because blue is so high demand.
And there's a lot more tricks with white. And it's easier to crusade. You can still crusade him regardless, but I'm saying, you're going to want to do those things. This is one of those cards I think it's going to forever be on the outside looking in. I don't think there's enough going on with it as it is.
Lost in a Labyrinth. Neat.
Cute.
That's about it.
Cute. You can target your own guys to get their heroic costs with little downside, which I think is really cool.
Two-headed Cerberus.
Saw that one coming a mile away.
Yeah, cute.
Yeah.
Curse of the Swine. This is actually one I think you and Sam Pardee were talking about. I think I briefly chimed in on Twitter. X blue, exile X creatures. For each creature exiled this way, its controller puts a 2/2 green boar creature token on the battlefield. And if you have not seen the tokens that they printed for this card, they are very cute.
Oh,
it's a pig wearing half Roman armor because it just was a dude. So that's funny. And
for starters, this card needed to be an instant. And if it had been an
needed to be is
no, Pongify, all those cards are all instants.
Okay.
Alright.
Clearly much more powerful.
Well, we've doubled up on the blue it requires to cast it.
Right, and we put an X on there.
Yeah.
I like this card.
Why do you like it?
Well, at worst, it's blue Crib Swap, and that's fine.
Well, but Crib Swap's an instant. That goes a really long way in Cube.
I agree.
Alright.
Especially in blue. However, the ability to just, nuke your opponent's board, in as many words... I mean, exiling is very good, dealing with indestructible...
But they get a lot of 2/2s that then get to untap during their turn because you tapped out to do this.
I promise you, whatever you are Curse of the Swining, the 2/2 is easier to deal with than whatever it is you exiled.
I agree. I'm not going to debate that. I'm going to say that the times where this is not making you lose a game... aren't games you're likely to get back into. To me, this is pretty much like a, smack one huge guy, maybe two problems. This might be a really good tooth and nail answer that you're, sitting on forever to hope to use.
I think it's cute. It might be okay. I can go back and forth on this one.
I just think, I think you're living in...
It might be a little too slow.
Yeah, I think you're living in a dream world here where this card in Cube is doing anything other than... maybe gaining you one turn's worth of life. I mean, getting their Ulamog is cool, but I don't want to add a blue card for that.
Witch's Eye.
More full flavor. Love it. Love it. Tapping all your guys and scrying a whole bunch seems like a lot of fun and limited. Not for us, even though you could... I can't even say it. You can Trinket Mage for it, and that's kind of funny and cute.
There have been some Trinket Mage targets that have been so far spoiled. Vanquish the Foul.
Why isn't this card an instant?
6 also.
Because it should be an instant. That's why it should cost 6.
6. That is a bold amount.
I like Reprisal, the Magic card. I think every time it's been in Standard, it's nice for it to be there. I think that's really a great way for White to be able to deal with answers in a fair and balanced way.
Costings.
You don't have to go the all the way to Path to Exile route. You don't have to go all the way to just Pacifism route. I like this middle ground.
Tristani's Judgment is already a card.
Celestia Charm is also...
Yeah. It's just 6 is a lot.
This is not a Magic card for anything outside of limited for this format.
Wave Crash.
Horned Turtle.
Horned Turtle.
Yes, Horned
Merfolk Turtle.
Moving on.
Merfolk Turtle.
Sea Serpent. Perhaps you're familiar with Sea Serpent.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah.
So we got those out of the way.
Yeah. Artisan of Forms.
All right, so is this Phantasmal Image?
No.
Is it is it a Volrath's Shapeshifter?
No.
Is it a bad clone?
I would suggest it is the closer to the ally clone.
Ah.
In that it is a clone but bad.
Interesting. Ally clone is one of the worst clones.
Right. Much like this one. Clone is, the fact that you have to combo off to get clone, and on top of that, you can't get into the battlefield triggers, is really a dagger on this one.
Yeah. So I can't imagine a world where this is good. Now again, if Heroic was on any ability, spell or ability,
we could talk.
You Crystal Shard with this guy. I think we'd have something to go on about.
Again, I just think that the fact that you can't get the end of the battlefield abilities, which is one of the best parts, especially of the cheap clones, getting the more expensive trigger for less mana is very, very good. So, no thanks. Grey Merchant of Asphodel.
We can boot this one right out the Asphodel as far as I'm concerned. We'll move on up. Remember Shoreline Ranger from World Wake?
I do like Hill Giants that draw cards.
Yeah, Hill Giants with the Ophidian, well, not quite Ophidian anymore. I guess it's the Scroll Thief ability, are spectacular. And the fact you can bestow this guy, I think, is spectacular for real limited. As far as
this guy's gonna be a beating in real limited.
Yeah, Q limited goes, not so much on that guy. No. We have a Heroic
Winder. Heroic just in general, just
Gluskcloak Harrier. I guess we would be similar to that card.
Sure.
We've got
a Slith Ascendant. What's the flying Slith?
Similar, yeah.
Flame Speaker Adept 2/3. When you scry, it gets +2/+7 first strike till end of turn. Cute. Nothing.
Yeah, we have Looming Grid Warden with Scry when it enters the battlefield. Also a cute upgrade on that ability.
I feel like Unblinking Bleb is just kind of pissed looking at this thing. God's Willing. Yeah, I kind of like this. I mean, as far as a trick, this is kind of a sweet one. Blessed Breath.
I'm so turned off by the 3D poser artwork that
it's a weird picture.
Trying not to hate everything that's going on there.
Protection over color your choice.
Kenny thinks Omen Speaker is better than Augur of Bolas in Cube.
Interesting. I could absolutely see the argument for that.
I mean, Cryptic Cankerid was pretty good in Time Spiral Limited. Again, it's blue, so it was never worth talking about.
The fact that you can't miss with Omen Speaker is a big deal.
And Horned Turtles are not bad. Or that's not Horned Turtle, that's Looming Grid. Looming Grid Wardens are nothing to laugh at in Cube. Again, if this was like a Merfolk Wizard and could block Stormblood Berserker... Not Stormblood Berserker. If it could block Stormkirk Noble, that would also go a really long way.
Yeah.
If it had a lot of a little bits more going for it, it would be talkable for limited environments outside of this current one.
Yeah.
But as it stands, not so much.
It was right on target, and then it just fell short. The arrow just kind of...
I mean, this card makes sense as it is. I'm not asking for a whole lot more out of it.
Snowshock Giant, Nessian Asp, giant dudes with monstrosity.
Yeah,
interesting that we'll see monstrosity common as opposed to just being on rares.
Again, I mentioned during when we got to Voyage's End, I think that card's going to be very key for the limited environment.
I agree. Karametra's Acolyte, the big elf ball, tap for a bunch.
It's a human.
It's a human,
but
also not really a thing.
Yeah, that's can't imagine us ever playing that card.
Phalanx Leader, Heroic to make it a grizzly bear. Or no,
it makes all your guys bigger.
Yeah.
So again, it has that kind of heroic problem that we just don't have a lot of like be positive spells. Like I'm sure if Cube somehow had a lot more cards like Bandage in it, like the heroic effect would be worth talking. Okay.
I mean, you could make like a heroic cube, I suppose.
It'd be sweet to like just play like stun on your own guy.
Zap.
Yeah. Go back to like Invasion time era kids and go back to
all the cantrips.
Yeah, all the spells drew a card. They were usually bad, but they drew a card. I loved playing Bandage in 10th edition limited. I could never get enough bandages. I think I kind of cut things off about 4 or 5. But I would play multiple bandages.
Well, they never see the 4th one coming. Titan of Eternal Fire. I really think this card is cool.
That's about where it ends.
The flavor, mythology, whatnot.
Yeah, this really needed to be a Flame Fuselage style magic card for it to be playable. The fact you actually have to activate each guy with a red mana.
And the fact that you just need a bunch of humans.
Yeah, we get humans all the time. They're free. They get thrown into the deal.
Yeah.
It's like a side of fries. You just get it. You don't want it, but it's like, and it's a human.
So my vote for, at least for what we've seen so far, coolest, on pure flavor alone, most awesome card yet, which is 100-handed one.
Yeah, I think the award for the there's no one going to have a better hand job joke out of this entire set card also would go to this, yeah.
I mean, the fact that it actually says can block an additional 99 creatures each combat.
Yeah, that seems like a...
fantastic.
Yeah, it seems like a Tragic Slip style full flavor decision to do that one.
Yes, and it is just super cool, and I think it is a great idea.
And that's where the journey ends. Yeah, we will not be playing that card.
No. It'll be interesting to see, other than Polycratus, if any of the monstrosity guys... I guess Ember Swallower is also going to make it.
Yeah.
But it seems like those abilities are just very expensive and, kind of unwieldy for the most part.
Now we move on to the white god, Heliod, the god of the sun, who, for a lot of mana, makes 2 power enchantment cleric creatures. How do you feel about that?
Weirdly? It makes me feel weird. All your creatures gain vigilance, which is not the worst thing.
So any cube playing mobilization, it's probably time to pay the 1 more mana.
It's time to pack it in.
Anyone not playing mobilization in cube, which I'd imagine is 99% of people, this guy is probably still a pass. The fact that the tokens you generate don't increase your devotion, the fact that you should already have a board presence in order to make this into a guy, and then he makes 2/1s, is a little too awkward for me. It seems like way too much of a dream world before this guy does stuff, as much as I'd like to play him in an Abyss deck.
Sure. Because you just target him over and over again.
If he was even a creature.
If he's a creature.
I would say if he's not a... Yeah, I mean, either way.
Yeah.
In the Abyss mode deck, he's cute, but still not doing anything.
Moving on. Polis Crusher. Fuck the Polis, also.
Is it Polis?
I don't care. It's still funny.
I think Polis sounds better to me,
Yeah.
but Polis, I don't know.
Trample. Protection from enchantments.
Because somebody's got to have it.
Monstrosity 3.
So this is guy, his base stats. And we're losing Huntmaster of the Fells, ladies and gentlemen. Replacement? I doubt it.
I doubt it.
So for a green, a red, and 2 colors, you have a 4/4 Trampler with protection from enchantments, which in the new standard could be really relevant. In the cube format, not really at all relevant. But when you monstrosity him for 6 mana, he comes up to a 7/7, and whenever he deals combat damage to a player, if he is monstrous, you can destroy an enchantment that player controls.
That trigger, not super relevant.
Now, still not things we're super excited about in Cube. I don't think...
Again, the most splashy enchantments being put out in this set are the gods, which are indestructible, so you can't even destroy them with this guy.
Yeah, this guy's blowing up a lot of the other, lower level enchantment aura-y type creature gods, demigods, or whatever.
Yeah. 4/4 trample for 4 with a maybe relevant protection is not the worst thing in the world.
Would you have traded trample for haste and then interested in him in the cube? Probably not.
I would have traded protection from enchantments for haste, and then we could talk.
Well, yes, but we would have lost the flavor.
Don't care.
Just gonna skip right past Hunt the Hunter.
Hunt the Hunter, flavor, whatever. Not a card.
So eventually there will be an altar of that has an Adrian Brody hunting a predator.
I feel like someone is already feverishly at work.
Hopefully.
Sylvan Caryatid.
Now this was the big talking point before we actually sat down to record.
Yeah, we were talking about this before we went live.
The hexproof on the Utopia tree, is that enough?
And additionally, the 1 extra toughness.
Yeah, so the literal in-between Utopia Tree and Vine Trellis, we now have the Birds of Paradise wall.
Utopia Tree looking kind of like a hobo here.
Yeah, it's Magic's new hobo. It has been put out on the street with all your coastal towers to go beg
Utopia
for food.
Tree does not have Defender, though, correct? Utopia Tree could, like, uproot and start slapping bitches around.
Oh, I guess it could.
Yeah.
That never happened. Things you've never thought about.
Yeah.
Because equipping Vegeta doesn't do anything. If you gave it a sword, you're like,
I'll take things that don't happen for $200, Alex.
So the 2 mana ramp spots. Now we're looking at this card and being like, okay, since it has hexproof, could it be evaluated like a Rampant Growth or a Farseek? Is it doing enough that's similar? Because we're only losing it to the Earthquakes of the world, the Wrath of Gods of the world. Otherwise, it's a sweet blocker that also acts as a Rampant Growth.
Yeah, I think that a lot of times you're going to be willing to trade the losing it to Wrath for being able to block their 2 power guys early in the game. Not having to worry about it. We were talking about kind of like as a replacement for Farseek, at least in terms of standard, as a reliable source of mana fixing that you're not really worried about.
Yeah, in terms of cube, I think that I've come close to adding overgrown. There's a overgrown battlement. I'm going to say overgrown tomb.
Yeah.
Many times over, and I've wanted that kind of like block, but also make mana effect. And I think hexproof and the 5-color ability here really makes it a great talking point. I didn't want to gloss over this card as soon as I saw 3 toughness hexproof.
I think it's certainly worth at least putting to a vote.
Oh yeah.
Bringing before the committee.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I'm not sure it's a slam dunk because 2 mana ramp is, there's a lot of it, and it's, it's hard to break into that club.
Plus, the first time this guy gets slag stormed, you're so mad. You're so mad.
Perforos, God of the Forge, Red God.
Now, with seeing no text,
okay,
we're thinking Red God. That might be our God. Right?
I'm thinking, well, we saw his hammer first, and that gave haste.
Alright.
So now I'm thinking, the god gives, first strike or something.
So all I'm thinking is, if it's on par with these other gods, we've got our Kargan Dragon Lords, our Slith Firewalkers,
right,
our Ball Lightnings. We've got all these things where this guy can come out from underneath its enchantment, do some bashing, as we assume it's at least a 5/5, without looking at it.
Yeah.
We make all these assumptions. So we actually see it. And now, again, just assessing it from the enchantment portion, we'll start with the lesser of its 2 abilities, the
Aether Flash kind of thing.
No, I was gonna say no, that's good. I'm talking about the bad fire breathing, bad Orcish Oriflamme style card. You're paying 3 mana to Balefire Dragon. I don't know, no, Moonveil Dragon. Either way, you guys get +1/+0 until end of turn for 3 mana. Not exciting.
Not exciting.
Not god awful.
Will be a thing that gets activated from time to time.
Could actually happen. I agree.
You do sometimes get mana flooded.
Now, additionally, if this was just a 4-mana enchantment that had the second ability here, which is whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, heal deals 2 damage to each opponent, that's actually pretty good.
Also, the fact that it doesn't target is somewhat relevant.
Not super relevant for us right now.
No, but it has been more or less in the past.
We've talked about things like Leyline of Sanctity. Obviously, like a Story Circle would still get around this, but
Ivory Mask is occasionally.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Leyline just strictly better.
But here's a situation where, should other things enter Magic in the long run, this still gets the job done.
Yeah, and it's interesting that Perforos is also going to be the god that most often becomes a dude and then isn't a dude anymore because of things like Ball Lightning. Like, oh, now he's a guy, now he's not a guy.
Yeah, and I almost like that better, so it can kind of hide from things like Journey to Nowhere, sorcery, so like Sever the Bloodline, things like that. I mean, they're not all over the place. They're kind of few and far between. But I think this guy is probably going to make the queue.
He's fine. He enters the long storied history of red 4-drops that are very good.
I mean, come on. He lives through Wildfire.
He might actually find. I feel like this card is finally potentially contending with Ravenous Baboons, because that card has been on my shit list for a while.
Interesting. Now, as Kenny has pointed out in the cube, all of those kind of guys that have been ho-hum in red of late, your CGN commanders, maybe your Krenkos.
all of a sudden get very scary.
Yeah. I mean, it's also great because it doesn't have to be a red creature. So you can just like play this as an enchantment.
Spectral Procession.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was going to go slightly bigger. You know, like your Cloud Go Rangers, your
Avengers Zendikar.
Boom! There's a game ender. Oh, Bareback Chieftain? Yeah, we don't even play that card, but that's worth talking about. Yeah, we could add in some stuff like that.
What the hell is that card? I don't even know what
it's from like Arch Enemy or something. It's not.
Oh.
It's like one of those like out in the middle of nowhere style cards.
It's like
look it up real fast. It shows
Beetleback.
And also, I think it's important to note for you cube enthusiasts who want to get your copies, this guy is probably going to be a big EDH commander because he can hit your opponents a lot, multiple opponents a lot as an enchantment, just hanging out.
That's pretty bad.
It's 4 power for 4 mana on 3 bodies.
Whatever. Alright, so I like Perforos. I think that of the gods, for our demands as they were, he's been the most exciting.
Yes.
I mean, I would really like the blue god if it didn't require you to have 5 blue mana symbols in play.
I kind of like that god. I don't think I'd even really like that god.
If it was easier to more lightly turn it on. Night Howler is one of the cheapest bestow gentlemen we've seen thus far. 3 and then bestow for 4 for XX, where X is the number of creature cards in all graveyards. Certainly, you know,
not gonna make
the cube,
no.
But the fact that they're willing to go this cheap on that effect, because the effect is very powerful.
We cut the Bone Horde, and I like this card almost more than Bone Hordes because it counts for itself.
Yeah.
But that doesn't really help us in the X1 cards environment.
Yeah.
But as a Magic card in a vacuum, I like it.
Yeah.
Tis a fine card.
Pyxis of Pandemonium, 1 mana artifact. Tap it. Each player exiles the top card of their library face down, and then you pay 7. Tap this, sack it, and then each player reveals all the cards that they turn face down, and then puts all permanent cards among them onto the battlefield.
Maximum fun, minimum good.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how I look at this card.
Yeah, it's like Eureka with spend 7 that you can control even less.
Yeah, you can trigger Mage for it, which is the only thing it's got going for it. Other than that, it's a wild, wild ride.
Yeah,
and it's not for us, but it is for the team fun, also known as EDH players.
Master of Waves, 2/1 Merfolk for 4. Protection from red. Elemental creatures you control get +1/+1, which are both weird things to see on a Merfolk. When Master of Waves enters the battlefield, put a number of 1/0 blue elemental creature tokens onto the battlefield equal to your devotion to blue. So,
finally, the other piece of the Force of Savagery combo comes together.
Sure.
This is barely a card. Remember, like, Senger Autocrat?
Mm-hmm. I think this is actually a pretty baller, like, one ever in like the modern Merfolk deck, because it's a little slower. But like that's a deck where like your devotion count is going to be sky high. Like that deck could also play the God if it wanted to, because you're on like blue 1-drops into Lord of Atlantis, Coral Helm Commander, Master of the Coral Trident. You know.
Sure. I don't know. I mean, if there's greater than 1 copy in a top 8 of a tournament in the next 12 months, I will be surprised. Non-limited tournament.
So you're taking the same argument about Blind Obedience? Remember I had that bet with Blind Obedience, and then Nathan Holliday got me there?
Yeah.
With a 1-up Singleton in his sideboard for eggs?
I'm not sure how you guys came to that bet.
He thought it was terrible, and I thought it was good. And that was
Blind Obedience is so much better than this card. Could
you
agree with me on that one?
Yes.
Okay.
Battle-wise, Hoplite. 2/2 for white-blue. Heroic. He gets a +1/+1 counter, and then you scry 1. Cool trigger. Not really a thing. Heroic, again, a lot of problems.
I don't know what it's going to take for us to play a heroic card in Cube, but we have yet to see it.
It's going to take a lot. Like, Heroic Time Walk or something. Maybe if it was just like Heroic Destroy a Creature. So like you turn like Giant Growth to Determinate.
And there aren't any black heroes. What if it was like Heroic...
Why are there no black heroes? That's racist.
Heroic Drop 3 would be good.
No comment. Perforos' Emissary, Hill Giant that can't be blind except for 2 more guys, bestow. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it's another one of those emissary cards.
so
Very, very, very overcosted.
we've seen a lot of these cards now.
So our slam dunk home runs for Cube include Pelucranos and maybe Perforos.
Ember Swallower.
Ember
Seems
Swallower.
like a pretty obvious
that
one.
one's probably gonna make the cut. Was there anything else?
Perforos, Pelucranos. I say Read the Bones is slam dunk, but I'm apparently getting fought about that.
And then on the maybes, let's talk about it category, we've got the Hammer of Pelucranos,
Chain to the
Rocks. I want to talk about Underworld Cerberus.
Elspeth.
I don't know if I'll be allowed to.
Commune with the Gods.
Oh, my mistake. Commune with the Gods. In. It got less exciting towards the top of the list, or the last cards we spoke about here.
There's a fair amount of cards that are.
We've got the Plant Utopia thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of cards that are worth discussion. I think the set has not obviously been a windmill slam a million cards, but then again, what set is for Cube? Just the demands are so high for that.
Return to Ravnica.
Well,
Zendikar. Yeah.
Well, okay, any set that has a cycle of dual lands, typically, but. I think that so far from what I've seen from the set, I'm very excited. The flavor is really cool. It's very neat. And there are cards that are fine. There are cards that are bad. There are cards that are worth discussing. Yeah. I think that's more, as much as you can ask from any set.
Again, that middle ground area is the most exciting because we get to really see in the long run what things can do in practice rather than just in theory. Again, that Red God, I think he's just good enough to get in there, and in practice, more likely he's going to be even better, just because we're going to be like, oh, I'm still playing creatures.
I'm just really interested to see how many of these enchantment guys come up, and then where Rector's stock falls.
Rector can only get better. Right?
That's what I'm saying. Rector's going to get better, but how much better?
I'll be interested to see what percentage increase there are in enchantments in the cube. I think that's one of the things that's most.
From this enchantment block, how many enchantments we add?
What kind of influx? Because right now, just thinking about the cards we play today, that new Commune with Nature for enchantments seems like it's really good because it seems like it's an enabler for a lot of either stoppers or just deck types. And that's not including things like Zombie Infestation or just getting a Treachery.
I think that look at the top 5, get a guy, mill yourself for 4 is just probably fine.
Your Tracker's Instincts for 1 more without a flashback.
Tracker's Instinct costs 2.
Yeah.
1 more depth.
1 more depth of card.
And you get a different card type.
Yeah, and you get an additional card type on top of it.
Yeah.
For not being split across 2 colors.
Mm-hmm.
I like that a lot.
I think it's okay. It's just kind of low impact. You know what I mean?
To me, it was it all depends on your deck type. There are a lot of decks where casting Rampant Growth is the thing that enables you to win the game in a shorter or longer term. Where casting this card, getting a key creature or enchantment, could be the thing that gets you to the chance to win the game.
The warrior is broken, and all of the others ones are bad.
The chat is talking about the event cards that you'll be getting during the pre-release, release, and game day events. I've thought about cubing with those cards. I have not thought about cubing with them. I think I want to see how the pre-release kind of goes off before I try to see if we want to work in that. It's been a long time since we've arch-enemied, or worse yet, plane chased with the cube.
Yeah, plane chase was the last time I really thought, wow, this is a thing. It's not fun.
It's okay. We got some $25 Tazims out of it, so it was kind of worth doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Personally, and this is just a personal opinion about pre-releases and things like that, one of the reasons I went to the M14 pre-release is that it didn't have a gimmick, and it was just play Magic. That's all I really want. I don't want to run a maze, or unlock a Hella Vault, or fight monsters with some crazy cards that they give us in an evil monster deck. I just want to go play Magic. I don't need this crazy thing.
I got bad news for you, Eck. That's not the future of
I understand, and it's bumming me out because I am not a fan. And I understand that like many of the decisions that Wizards has made in the past several years, I'm in the minority of people in terms of how it positively affects them. So, but
we speak for a minority in that one. I like the pre-release environment, even if it's more kind of gimmicky than it has been in the past. I think that if it draws out more new players, that's what the goals are. I'm still going to go there. Maybe I'll just play less. Maybe I'll just hang out, cube more.
Certainly, driving players to the game and people turning out is certainly good. I'm just talking about from my personal enjoyment of that specific event. I was perfectly content with new cards, play limited. That was enough.
Right.
I didn't need anything more.
That used to be very exciting and drawing in for people.
Yeah.
Not knowing the complete spoiler ahead of time was always a lot of fun, too.
Right, in the days before the internet just knew everything a month out.
Man, I can still remember printing that 30-page Spalvation, all-text-only spoiler, trying to make sure all the cards are there, reading them on the way of the drive over.
Yeah.
Those days are long gone, kids. You have no idea how lucky you are.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about time to draft up that first potential changelog. I've got some sweet ones waiting in the wings about things we want to change that aren't necessarily Theros related.
This is the time of a lot of behind-the-scenes work.
Yes, but we will.
And by work, I mean not actually work.
It happens.
A lot of yelling in email.
Oh yeah, we also have to make sure we bring that yelling here. Because that was one of the impetuses for the show, was that we
yell at each other in emails so much, we should just record
This card's terrible. That card's terrible. Why would you play this card? Yeah, but it wasn't for the existence of show and tell. I don't know if we'd even be doing this right now.
That was positive. We thank show and tell when we win an award for this.
And do you have that initial, I'm just remembering what the baseline was. It was 15 or 20 cards that I initially put together. Because after that long, drawn-out conversation the other day about Treasure Trove and Zombie Infestation, I was really getting excited about making that happen. So, in theory, we'll have some of those changes coming up. I'm trying to remember if there's anything else that's super... Oh, Goblin Bombardment was pretty obvious.
Goblin Bombardment.
That's gonna be making the rounds.
There's certainly...
Yeah, maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't send it to you yet. I thought I did.
I think you might have... I don't know.
Yeah, either way. We'll see it real soon. Once we start to add in the Theros action we have access to now.
Yeah. And I think that there's a lot of cards that we've been trying to... A lot of this change is also going to be attempts to make certain things better. So you're not necessarily going to see a lot of new flashy cards. You're going to see a lot of new archetype support cards, if that makes any sense.
Probably.
Rather than individual build around me, cool, sweet. It's going to be stuff turns on other decks that already exist.
Yeah, I'd like to think that we've carved out most of those already.
Yeah,
just trying to find, making sure we support those angles properly.
I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I always look forward to any time we get to do a change, just because it's a fun discussion. Move stuff in, move stuff out.
What's your number one hater right now? What's the number one card you just really want to axe?
We should. That should be a show. The cards that I hate.
Your haters?
My hate.
Since we're actually ahead of schedule, we probably got 10 more minutes left. You should bring up Cube Tutor, and then we'll go to the least drafted cards. Because I think we're up to 200 mock drafts that people have put together.
Okay,
for
so
us.
that would be enough.
Yeah, to start to get some idea. Now, this again, we can plug Cube Tutor while we're here. Not only do we love Cube Tutor, great website, but also our cube is listed there. You should check that out. Yeah, there's a least drafted or most past cube cards section on there, and if
all right,
so if you just go up to analysis.
Oh, that's okay. Analysis,
and then scroll to draft charts.
Draft charts.
And there's your top picks, and then underneath that is your bottom picks.
Pick count. Oh, I see what it is.
It's the number of passes versus number of takes. 3
passes of Black Lotus, 43 picks. It was opened 3 times with also a Mox in the pack or something.
See, the thing about Gideon Champion of Justice when comparing it to the new Elspeth is that they're very different Magic cards. It's really hard to kind of say. I mean, obviously, new Elspeth, better Magic card than Gideon Champion of Justice. He's not going to defend me here. It doesn't even matter.
Gideon Champion of Justice is easily number 1. Nah, not easily number 1. It's number 1 on my hate list right now.
Wow, okay, there it is. You found it. Eck would rather open a pack with a ham sandwich.
Not even close. I am quite overweight, 14, I would love a ham sandwich.
14 Magic cards and a coupon for a ham sandwich.
Snap.
He just snap drafts it,
and
out from the cube box comes a ham sandwich.
I rarely eat dinner before we cube draft anyway, so that solves a lot of my problems.
Okay, so stuff on the bottom here just from the Cube Tutor analytics.
Sliver Queen, Scarred Guildmage, that one was a bust, I think. And in a highly contested spot,
All right.
Stormbind, I'm surprised, is down here this
Well,
low.
see, a lot of these cards like make sense to me because they're role players.
Also, a lot of red-green, by the way. Jimmy just says, Scarred Guild Mage, Stormbind, Vithian Renegades, all in the bottom
See,
section.
I think Vithian Renegades, that's just poor card
Roll
evaluation.
Keyrune down here, too. I feel like red-green might just be, people just not liking it. Keswick Wolf Run also down. Nobody wants to draft for red-green.
Yeah, red-green. Red-green. As much as we talked about how we used to think like Izzet and Dazorius were the lowest on the totem pole.
I think that...
So what is this really telling me? Yeah,
it's
Fireball's
telling us-
bad. I get it.
I was going to say, it's telling you that the gimmicky cards are stupid and no one wants to play them. Phantasmal Bear is shitty and no one wants to play it.
Gosh, how dare people support X theories?
They're surprisingly low. I think
again,
people just don't get that
some of these
one.
cards are role players. I mean, I can definitely see, like in our coming update, I know Berserk was on the chopping block. I know Covetous Dragon was on the chopping block. Who, what, where, when, why could probably go back on the chopping block. There's just not a lot of spectacular options to replace some of these things with. Jard's Verdict is on the chopping block coming up.
Scape 53. Where Gideon gets played in relation to constructed is completely irrelevant to the conversation we are having, because we're not talking about a constructed PTQ. We're talking about a cube draft format. And in the cube draft format, Gideon Shaper of Justice is absolute dog shit. What else is down here? Oh, Nivix Cyclops. I feel like some of these are just like, people just don't
Not
play.
a lot of experience with these cards.
But maybe that's just like denial. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure how much. Like, Verols is down here. Nicol Bolas is down here.
Oh, you pass Nicol Bolas all day long. Remember, this is just a pass count.
Yeah, that's true.
This isn't like a...
I mean, I guess that makes sense that a lot of these are multicolored then, because...
Not only are they multicolored, but they're also like niche,
hard to catch,
niche cards.
White Steel Colossus.
Like, I think that the ones that are single color, or the ones that are supposed to go in decks that are here, are really those should be the alarms flashing off, being like, it's not working, it's not working.
Right.
But things that are more role players are a little bit different.
Grid Money.
I'm actually more shocked the Jester's Cap isn't further down.
Right.
So it's been picked some times.
It's been picked 31 times.
In relation to its 323 pass count.
Right. So, there's certainly a lot of food for thought from this.
Yeah, check out Cube Tutor, everyone. Make sure you log in, you create an account, you draft our cube, you
Chimeric Idol?
add your input to it. If you actually scroll back up and check out all the way back up and check out the decks portion.
I feel like so this pimp chart thing.
One of these days.
Well, the problem is, as much as I would love to, you have to manually say, is this foil? Is this foreign? Is this signed? Whatever.
Yeah.
I can't just be like select all foil.
Yeah, but that's not even the case.
No, but it's it's close enough.
Yeah, it's a cool thing. If you go to the decks portion, that'll show you everything. And you can post your deck here. You can
Squealord doing a lot of drafting.
if you scroll down, there was a different guy who was all about it before then.
Rigel, Mace 20.
Yeah,
People going deep.
he's
5-color mid-range all day. Wow. So, it's definitely a fun little...
how about not a pack size of 1?
Pack size of 1?
That would just be a random magic card. That'd be interesting.
It's fun.
So now that we have some smart data, we can start to just like run these in your free time. That's
I'll take a Skull Plan. I mean, these are always fun.
Cloudguard Ranger.
So
Definitely
anyway.
Cloudguard Ranger. Take the Cloudguard Ranger.
Anyway.
So you get the idea. At times like this, we'll say our goodbyes because we have a draft to get to run this evening. We did this ahead of time, hopefully for the East Coast audience.
Bit of a short show.
We had a few more people. Well, I want to get another topic in there today, but in conjunction with how short the day is and how just we've been inundated with Theros spoilers. I mean, I gotta try to make this decision back on Sunday.
The next week or two, we're just gonna have nothing else to talk about.
Well, hopefully we will have something because we've seen
Well, that's what I meant. Like, it's gonna be all Theros all the time for like.
Oh, well, I feel like the set got so front loaded that by the time it's like release date, we should be like locked into our card changes.
Yeah.
Like we're almost like this is almost really good for us because now we have a couple of weeks to kind of like really like flush out exactly what changes we're going to make. So probably coming back next week, we'll start with that initial preliminary list that will really start to badger each other about and exciting what we want to change, what we don't want to change. But you can also interject your comments, your feelings, anything you have to say. You can always hit us up on Twitter. I'm at Tristan Gregson. Over here, Kyle Eck is at Young Mecha. You can hit us up on the web as well at draftcube@gmail.com, as well as it's dead. It's like a ghost town over there. But if you check out the blog, echamon.blogspot.com, it is a great resource for everything. For our cube, it's got the cube list. It's got all the previous episodes, the skeleton cube list, which actually someone was messaging me about today, about some card choices. Great resources there. Also, if you're checking us out on Twitch, please do favorite us. If you're watching us on
Follow.
or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I see the little heart. I assume that's a favorite. But follow us on Twitch. If you're watching us on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe. All those things help us out. As much as we only have little bits of information going around right now on those places, we're trying to build things back up. It's been a long summer. We're very busy. But come the fall, we hope to, again, offer some new things. We've teased about this before. We just haven't got the ball really rolling on those kind of things. We've also kind of scaled back the donation requests as such. But we do have another set release coming up real soon, so there might be some opportunities for the MTGO Cube Draft streaming. And again, we want to bring more elements. So again, the donate button's on the bottom. So anything you can add to the cause, we just put back into the show. We want to bring more. There's a lot of opportunities out there for recording and broadcasting some kind of rotisserie draft. Just bring you more content from Cube leagues that we do, more draft walkthroughs. I'm talking to somebody in digital animation about putting together kind of like more of a Cube draft walkthrough mock-up. But those things aren't free. So anything that we can get towards the fun towards those things, we'll start to make them happen. Any other final thoughts before we're done today?
Let's go play Cube.
All right. Well, you've heard it here. Thanks, everyone on the live side for tuning in. Everyone who's listening after the fact, thanks, as always, for your patronage. And again, anything you can do to help us out, we love it.